Hey, hello. My name is Sandra Williams, and I'm the host of the I Shall Bloom Show. And today is a very special day. Again, we have, well, he's not a guest anymore. It's the Friday show. But Scott Kramer here, and being as targeted individuals as we both are, and you guys hopefully that are on the call, this is very dear to us because they made it so hard for us to get any type of money, for targeted individuals. So Scott is he is from California, so today we will be discussing the California Texas compensation, victims compensation application. I will try to share my screen. I will share my screen. I'm going to see if I can do it and make sure it's clear. But Scott Kramer's here, so he's going to go through the step-by-step and also answer questions. Without further ado, I hope I said everything. I'd like to introduce you to Scott Kramer. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Received compensation through other funds that are out there, specifically for satanic ritual abuse. There is let me introduce myself. My name is Scott Kramer, and I have been a Havana syndrome victim for 23 years. They hit me right after 9/11 in 2001. There was a year that they left me alone, but they came back, and it's been the first portion of my harassment was filled with gang stalking and trying to let me know that the harassment was coming from my neighbors. They were relentless. It got to a point where I had to ignore everything that I was hearing unless I actually saw it come from somebody's mouth, because I was hearing so much constructed negativity via the V2K. They're pretending to be neighbors from all different directions and trying to provoke me, make me uncomfortable in my home environment. And the second portion of my targeting concentrated on remote neuromonitoring, and basically I have two people distributing the software that distributes the directed energy weapon to the brain, which affects my body. They listen to my thoughts. They try and verbalize my thoughts in an effort to change the way my brain functions and works. It's never really caught on. They haven't been able to change the way my brain works. So it's a daily struggle of futility as they try and harass me with mind games and isolate me and depress me and try and manipulate me involuntarily. I've learned their goal for me is to control me without me being aware of it. So I've been doing my best to fight the battle between the individual and the state. This is obviously a state-run weapon system because it utilizes satellites to distribute the V2K. So that's enough about me. I was on a conference call, and somebody put a link in for UI Media and the Hearts and Minds Foundation.
Yes.
And I went on to the link. They are a media group with a nonprofit division that helps victims of satanic ritual abuse. I contacted them. I filled out their form and explained that I was a targeted individual and experiencing satanic ritual abuse, satanic behavior. Ended up doing. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm saying that's right.
I did an interview with the head of UI Media, which is Tim Ray, and Derek Robinson. They actually surprised us. We were trying to get a meeting with them to discuss what was going on and get a story out there, and we thought it was a Zoom meeting. and we logged on, and there was Tim in a studio all ready to go, and we
Wow.
ended up doing a show for 112 minutes. I mean, you can find the video on the site under, there's an icon with electronic harassment type of icon, and you can find the video. It should be still up. We did a pretty good job for being surprised off.
Yeah.
But
Excuse me,
the
sir.
fun, yeah,
Excuse me. Is it UI Media, like YOUI, or just the letters U and I? How is it UI
like
Media?
Umbrella, yeah, UI, Umbrella India Media.
Okay.
And
Thank
it's
you.
the heart. Their organization that helps out individuals is the Hearts and Minds Foundation.
Sure.
So you'd want to Google UI Media Hearts and Minds Foundation. It's difficult. They've buried it on the internet, so it's difficult to find. But I ended up receiving a check for $500 from them. They were earlier this year out of funds and looking for donations. So they were not giving out checks for a while, but it's now September, and they might have had donations come in, and I would recommend applying. So when they do have a donation come in, you're on the list of recipients. They don't promise it'll be checks for $500, but they do. We'll take your information, acknowledge the fact that you wrote them, which is always nice when you take the effort to try and reach out for someone for help, and put you on the list if you're eligible for receiving a check for satanic ritual abuse. So that happened December and January, and I started thinking there's got to be other organizations out there, corporations, types of organizations that will help victims. So I started researching victim compensation, and learned that the federal government had a mandate for each state to start a victim compensation fund in the 1970s. So each state has a victim compensation fund. The applications are all very similar. I think Florida was a little bit more complicated, but California is fairly easy to fill out. I called up the California Victim Compensation Fund and spoke with a nice woman and asked her if she paid out for Havana syndrome, and I explained I was a citizen that was dealing with it. She said, currently no. I said, I'm a citizen. I'm experiencing this and suffering from it. And the federal government has passed the Havana Act, which helps victims of Havana syndrome, but only government employees and diplomats. And that seemed to upset her, the state-federal rivalry, and she actually looked up and confirmed that the Havana Act excluded citizens. She recommended that we apply, and we apply in numbers. She said that's how change comes about. Again, they don't currently pay for Havana syndrome, so what we're applying through is that we've been human trafficked for experimentation with neuroweapons. She cited, the woman on the phone cited human trafficking as a crime that has occurred that they didn't pay in the past, but they received enough requests for compensation for human trafficking that they changed the rules and created a code to pay out for human trafficking. So our approach is to apply under as being human trafficked for experimentation with neuroweapons, exposure to directed energy weapons, which has caused traumatic brain injury, which is both physical and psychological in nature. So, as a brief introduction, if there are any questions before we get into the application, please feel free to chime in. I'm going to move
Hi,
into the
yes.
application.
There she goes.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Hi, thank you so much for this. I'm so grateful. Um, so I've got, I went online. I printed out something that's 7 pages long. The actual application is 6 pages long. Is this the one that we're going to be using? I'm sorry, I'm on the phone. I'm not online.
Let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Yes, I could share my
7.
screen.
7 pages on the application.
Yes, it has
The 7th page is a privacy notice on collection.
Right,
So it's
and
just a notice.
Okay, great. And there's 13 sections, right?
There are 8, 7, 8, 9,
Okay,
10,
so
11, 13 sections.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure we're looking at the same thing. Thank you.
Sure, no problem.
let's see, that's your application. Just kind of share the screen with us so I'll know. Can you guys see that? Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on the phone, so I'm sorry I can't see that. I
Oh,
apologize.
okay. I don't know how to stop sharing my screen. Okay, we can go. We can proceed. Let me pull it. I had it up and prepared. Okay, let's stop it. Let's stop it.
Rose.
Okay. Oh.
So briefly, I want to give everyone a heads up who's applying for victim compensation. I recommend filling out the application. They will send you an acknowledgement letter as soon as possible. It comes very quickly in the mail. Then they will send a letter of outstanding requirements, things that they are going to require to review your application. You've got 30 days to get that stuff in. Otherwise, you have to wait 7 years to reapply. So of the 2 things that they asked me for when I sent in my application was a police report and a letter from my doctor. The other thing they asked me for was a list of my medical receipts, but that was only if I wanted to get reimbursed for medical expenses. When I know going into the police department can be scary, and there's always the risk of getting put on a 5150. So I recommend going in with somebody and going in with a letter from the California Victim Compensation Board that says that you need a police report indicating that you're being hit with directed energy weapons. Excuse me, I have to sneeze. We want to keep the focus on Havana syndrome and not really discuss a lot of the other stuff that victims experience, specifically gang stalking and chemtrails and that type of thing. We're primarily focused on being abused with directed energy weapons to the brain, and that's what we need to stop. The other stuff will fall off like dominoes as soon as the directed energy weapon attack stop. So in the police report, it's very simple. You show the police department the letter from the California Victim Compensation Fund that says you need a police report documenting that you're being assaulted with directed energy weapons, and you can leave it as simple as that. That's pretty much all you need from the police department. If you start to go into the various other things, you risk, confusing the police officer. You risk telling him something that may indicate that you're a danger to yourself or society, in which case he put you on a 5150. So you want to keep it very simple and just say that you're here to document the fact that you're being assaulted with directed energy weapons, and you need a police report to show the California Victim Compensation Board, and then show them the letter. Have somebody there with you for support. And I believe in California you pay $35 for a copy of the police report.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing they asked for was a letter from my doctor. Now, my general doctor is not qualified to diagnose me with Havana syndrome. That would be a neurologist. And from what I hear, unfortunately, I think it was on last week's call, somebody went to Dr. Djanko in New Jersey and did not receive a Havana syndrome diagnosis, but rather a traumatic brain injury diagnosis. So my concern is there aren't any doctors that are diagnosing Havana syndrome at the moment. Dr. Hoffer has stopped, and based off of what the gentleman said last week, that he received a traumatic brain injury diagnosis is not good for our availability of doctors that are diagnosing Havana syndrome. So we're going to get creative and we're going to go around the issue. Your general doctor, which is the letter they asked for, is not qualified to diagnose you with traumatic brain injury either. That would be a letter from a neurologist. So what we're using is the term that the three-letter agencies have used to describe Havana syndrome and get around the use of the word directed energy weapon. Yeah. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, now.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we're using the term that the three-letter agencies have used to foil the media and confuse them and throw everybody off from what this really is, which is directed energy weapon abuse. They use the word anomalous health incidents. And that is such a general phrase that you can talk your doctor into writing a letter that says that over the years that you've been seeing this particular doctor, you've been experiencing anomalous health incidents and something along the lines of, you haven't been reacting to the medications or suggestions, the medical expertise that is supposed to make the issues that you're dealing with go away. I know that a lot of us have gone into doctors. I, for one, went in for 6 to 9 months. I couldn't eat solid food, and I was calling him on a weekly basis saying, I can't eat solid food. I've had a colonoscopy. I've had an endoscopy. I've gotten to a point where the doctor doesn't know what to prescribe and has prescribed peppermint oil to try and relax my stomach so I could get solid food down. So these were injuries that I was experiencing and not responding to normal healing mechanisms, so to speak. So the California Victim Compensation Board will send you a letter that asks for a letter from your doctor. All you have to do is forward the letter from your doctor and say that you need something that's to the effect that you're experiencing anomalous health incidents. You're not asking him to go out of your way and say that you're being diagnosed with Havana syndrome and risk his medical license. He's fully capable of giving you a letter that says you're experiencing anomalous health incidents, as I'm sure he has seen you and not been able to explain a lot of the stuff that's going on with your body physically. So those are the two things that they're going to ask for. So you have to be prepared to go to the police department for a police report, and your doctor for a letter within 30 days of receiving the acknowledgement from them requesting the information. And again, they're going to give you the letters in writing so you can show your doctor the letter. You can actually scan it in and email it to him and let him know that you need a letter from him. A police report, unfortunately, you have to go in. I definitely recommend bringing in the letter, bringing in a friend, and keeping it very strictly to directed energy weapon abuse only. Don't go into anything else. You don't want to pique his curiosity. You just are documenting with the police department that you're being abused with directed energy weapons as the Victim Compensation Board has requested. We'll start to go through the application now. It's fairly simple.
Excuse me, can I ask a question, please?
Sure.
Oh, thank you so much. I am concerned that who is ever doing this to me is tracking my every movement, either in real time or after the fact. And some things have happened that lead me to believe that this is happening. And so I'm very concerned about actually walking into a police station for possible repercussions and retribution. Do you think there's any way I could get this report without walking into a police station?
You can try calling the police department and see if you can file a report over the phone, or let them know that you have some sort of disability and that you can't come in to file the report. And if you can do it, online, I don't believe that that's going to be a possibility. But it's definitely worth a shot if you're concerned about it.
Yeah, I think the disability part works. It's because we're disabled because of what's going on with us. But I think that's a try. When I worked in nursing, we did have cases like that for domestic violence that they were scared to go in and all that. So the record was made for them in a file that disappeared. You had a couple of hours to get the file, and then it disappeared. So there is a way. I think it cost. It didn't cost the domestic violence victim, so it may not cost you anything, but that's something to give a try, and that could be for all of us too, who are, are worried about that thing because they're upset, and that's all our fears. So I think that's a try, and I'll look into that too as well. Right now.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that'd be great. I could say if you're concerned about doing something like that, you might want to wait until 2025. According to Robert Duncan, the program is supposed to be made public, and portions of it are going to be scaled back and turned off in 2025. They're going to let the tax-paying public know that the technology exists and people are capable of doing this. At that point, we'll be able to go into talk to the media, go into the police department without any issues. The other thing in California is the neuro rights bill. The neuro rights bill in California that has passed the state Senate and the House. As soon as Governor Gavin Newsom signs the bill, it's acknowledgement from the government that the technology exists. We're halfway to a lawsuit. So at that point, after he signs the bill, it basically says that it protects the neuro rights of individuals and holds companies accountable for invading the privacy of citizens.
Podcast press 100.
It was weird. So if you're concerned about going into the police station, which I totally understand, you have the option of waiting for Governor Gavin Newsom to sign the neuro rights bill, which will, basically put into law that what is happening with directed energy weapon abuse is illegal and holds companies accountable. Or you can wait until 2025 when the public is supposed to be made aware of what is technologically capable and what's going on. So you've got three options. You can go in now, you can wait till the governor signs the bill, or you can wait till everything becomes public in 2025. After 2025 would be the safest, because you'll walk into the police station and request a police report, and they will have heard about what you're dealing with through the news and not immediately assume that you're psychologically impaired in any way.
But is there a statute of limitations for reporting a crime? Filing?
There is, once you file, there is 30 days to get the remaining balance of the information in. But if you wait until 2025, you haven't applied, you haven't started that start date. So you'll still have 30 days in 2025 to get all the information they request in. As far as the compensation for California, I believe that Sandra has a copy of the letter that I received and has emailed it out, so you can look at the compensation that's available. As far as like pain and suffering, they only go back 2 years. So whether you apply this year and go back 2 years, or you apply in 2025 and go back 2 years, isn't really going to make a difference. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Do they? I don't know if this is a. Well, I was going to ask at some point. Does this compensation cover just out of pocket, or does it cover pain and suffering or anything like that, or are we looking forward to that in the future?
I'm hoping the limits go up, but right now it pays $10,000 per year for pain and suffering for the last 2 years, and they have a host of stuff that they cover as far as fixing your vehicle, if you're disabled, bringing your home up to standards so you can comfortably live with the disability. And I'm going off the top of my head. There's a list of about 8 items they compensate for, depending on what you're eligible for. Crime scene cleanup. I'd have to look at the list that I sent Sandy. Actually, I can look it up real fast, and I can tell you.
Yeah, I'm looking too. I'm sharing my screen, but of course I couldn't look at it this morning.
Okay.
I was looking for that. Section 7. Okay. Section 11.
Yeah, they cover medical bills, doctor services, ambulance fees, hospital stays, co-pays, non-traditional medicine. They cover dental. Bills are usually paid at 75% of the amount billed. They cover mental health. They cover income or support loss. They cover relocation expenses. They cover human trafficking wage compensation. They cover funeral and burial expenses if you have somebody in your family who's the victim and you're applying for them. They cover for a service dog. And they cover for, it looks like, residential security, crime scene cleanup, home modification for victims who become permanently disabled as a result of the crime, and vehicle purchase modifications for victims who became permanently disabled as a result of the crime.
And I have it up on the screen if you guys can see it. Is it too small, or can you see the screen? I was able to find it once you found it.
I think they can blow it up on the screen and make it wider. As far as the benefit limits are concerned, medical is up to $70,000. Dental is up to 70,000. Mental health is up to 5,000 or 10,000. Income or loss support is up to 70,000 maximum claim. Relocation expenses 3,418. Human trafficking wage compensation up to 10,000 per year for a maximum of 2 years. Funeral and burial is 12,818. Service dog is up to 10,000. Other benefits available is residential security for windows, doors up to 1,000. Crime scene cleanup 1,709. Home modification for victims that have become permanently disabled is up to 70,000.
Nice.
And vehicle purchase or modifications for victims who become permanently disabled as a result of the crime is up to 30,000, which would buy you a new car, pretty much. The compensation is not enough to retire on, but it's something to help us out as far as our medical and income expenses that we have, financial expenses that we have, and it's a good start. As soon as this becomes public, I think that there will be a lot more organizations that step forward to help victims because they know that they've been ignoring our complaints for me, it's been 23 years. The scrutiny, though, half the country is going to step forward for compensation when this becomes public. So you want to be able to set yourself aside from everyone else and make sure you're not denied, which includes keeping a journal of what you're going through, keeping all your medical receipts, documenting what you're experiencing. I oftentimes put up my iPhone and talk into my iPhone. I have been doing that for years, and I look at some of the videos I made, 6, 7, 8 years ago, and I've almost forgotten what I said during the videos. So it's important to document before you lose the memory of the horrendous experience that you're going through with Havana syndrome and directed energy weapon abuse.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that.
Sure.
What is the chance that this won't get public? I mean, or maybe the better question is, how good a chance is it that it will go public in 25?
I believe it's a pretty good chance. I am in the personal opinion that the technology is inevitable for it to come out in society, and I believe it's the military that's doing this, experimenting on this, is doing a disservice to society because this is the future of medicine. I get a headache and they can hit me with directed energy that takes away the headache. I get nauseous and feel like throwing up. They can hit me with directed energy that relaxes my stomach and takes that away. Same as the reverse. They can hit me with directed energy that causes a headache. They can hit me with directed energy that causes me to throw up. So I believe it's the future of medicine. Directed energy. But we've got to wait. According to Robert Duncan, who unfortunately passed away this year and was a big advocate, the program is scheduled to be released to the public, the information, in 2025. So I'm staying optimistic and finding ways of coping until 2025, taking it 1 year at a time. I refuse to believe that I'm going to live the rest of my life with this.
Yeah.
It's just too depressing to wrap your arms around. So I've got to stay optimistic. I've got to find coping mechanisms. I've got to take care of myself, not allow the abuse to allow me to neglect myself in any way, which means that I need to be eating, hydrating, and sleeping and living a normal life. And this year's been really rough.
Excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead. Hello?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt. I've been TI since 1988.
Okay.
And
Hello.
I've been
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
What's your name? I'm sorry. They were talking. Did you want to ask a question?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'd like to ask a question.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think she
it's
was.
about my. Yeah.
Okay, I think she was still. Excuse me. She was still finishing up. I think she was still finishing a question. He was answering a question. Give him 1 second. I think if he was finished, and then you can introduce yourself, and we'd love to hear what you have to say. Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
I'm on a website for support victims, so my phone rings a lot with people complaining about their targeting. I've noticed that everybody's targeting has gotten more intense this year. There's a lot of pressure on us. I think they're trying to squeeze what they can out of us before they end the program in 2025. It got so bad that the relationships I was having with my family and friends was putting a lot of stress on them, and it was exhausting those relationships. So I networked with people in my area, specifically, 5 people that live within 20 minutes of each other. And we've met twice in the last week. We're going to meet tomorrow, but it's too much. And so I bifurcated my life. I stopped complaining about my harassment to my family and friends, which has done wonders for my relationship with them. And I have a set of friends and a support network to complain to that understand what I'm going through and don't dismiss what I say as delusional when I talk about it. The support network is fantastic. It works both ways. It gets me out of the house. It keeps me from being isolated. It gives me a set of friends to rely on, and it allows me to be in a position to help them if they find themselves in a position where they need assistance. So I'm hoping that the program, and staying optimistic that the program ends in 2025. And I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you so much.
Sure.
I hope so too.
Me too. And there was another question.
Hi, you can. Oh yes, there you go. Floor is open.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi. My name is Rosario, and I'd like to know. In order to show or present a complaint, you have to bring your, I guess, hospital bills or police reports. And my question specifically is about the electronics, that they target you with. There's no way for that, to prove that, right?
There is. It's difficult. You can prove it with something called an MRI, MRS, or a PET scan that shows that you have received damage to the brain as a result of getting hit with directed energy weapons. You can do that neurologically.
Okay. But I will have to talk to my doctor and tell him I need a brain scanning or a brain. To do that, I will have to talk to my main doctor. And for him to believe there is something wrong in my brain, I don't know. I don't think he would, order that for me, I think that would be something very hard to tell your doctor if you can get a referral so your brain can be an MRI or something unless I have neurological problems, right?
The Crime Victim Compensation Board has not gone so far as to ask for a letter from a neurologist. They are only asking for a letter from your doctor. And we're not asking your doctor to indicate that you are the recipient of directed energy weapons or a Havana syndrome victim. What we're asking the doctor to write is a letter that you're experiencing anomalous health incidents, just like the diplomats and the government employees. The code is AHI, and the Crime Victim Compensation Board will send you a letter that says that they need a letter from your doctor. You take the letter that they sent you to your doctor, email it or bring it into the office and let them know that you need a letter that says that you've been experiencing anomalous health incidents. It's such a general term that the doctor won't have any issue saying that you've been experiencing anomalous health incidents if you've got a history of going to that doctor for a while. And it won't get him in trouble with the medical board as far as losing his license is concerned. He's not qualified to diagnose you with Havana syndrome. And there are very few doctors that are qualified or know what they're doing that can diagnose Havana syndrome, but they don't seem to be doing it right now. So the best that you could hope for is a diagnosis of traumatic brain injury. And that is not directly evidence of directed energy weapon abuse. It doesn't necessarily mean that you were hit with directed energy weapons, but it does reinforce the fact that you're complaining that you're getting hit with directed energy weapons, and you're showing them proof that you've sustained a traumatic brain injury, which is both physical and psychological in nature.
Okay. Wow. I'm not sure if I can get that, but you know, the fact that it's been so long, so many years, I'm happy with the good news that now you can put a complaint, you know, thanks to the Havana Syndrome Committee investigation that I heard it 3 months ago coming out. And that's a light, you know, because I know I start, making a journal years ago when I was being hit so bad. But then after a while, I realized nothing was going to happen because, you know, I was at the time getting into Derek Robinson a podcast conference call. And the thing is, it got really vicious for too many complaints about people, perpetrators getting in the call. And then I decided just to cut it off. You know, I said, this is not going anywhere. I'm just going to get rid of all of this, and I don't want to know anything. But the thing is, it's been years, and the targeting never ended, never stopped. And I've been suffering. You have no idea. It's like today, it's like there's a computer hookup already. What the computer does, if I say something or do something, the computer right away put a voice because I can realize it's computer is not human. And like saying something demeaning, or if I try to think, I don't dream, but what I do is what I cut from these people, they can, going in the past and trying to see events that I have in my life that were traumatizing. And I can see, you know, some of that very clearly in my brain. So I know they are, you know, doing that with my brain, trying to find things, events that were in my life and ask questions. And of course, I realize about that and I talk back to them, you know. I remind them that they have no right to do this to me. And I never signed any contract. I never signed anything. What you're doing is illegal. And of course, I have a whole, you know, statement that I do when I'm sleeping and I realize what's going on at that moment and I talk back. But the thing is, the fact that I'm hooked up, you know, to a computer because of my action. Whatever I say, a voice talk back, or whatever I'm doing, like saying I listen to a song that remind me from the 90s or 80, and they pinch on my eye to see if I go back to a certain event in those years. You know what I mean? Like I've seen it in my mind. So practically, it's all about me, the computer. Okay, I know there's no people talking. All these voices are made up. Voices of all kind of tones, from men, women, children, young men, young women, I like that. And
yes. Now your voice sounds familiar. I talked to you this week, huh? Rosario? I think I talked to you.
Sandy.
Yes, Sandy.
Yeah, I was. Yes. I wasn't sure if it was the same Sandra that they say there in Targeted Justice.
Yes.
So
same one.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we did. Sure. You're in Florida, right?
Yeah, I'm in Florida, in Jacksonville.
Yeah, we just did the Texas compensation for Florida. But welcome to the call anyways. Thank you. Welcome.
Sure. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's anything. I don't have.
Did you? Hi, Sandy. This is Jennifer. Did you say you just did the Texas compensation for Florida?
We did Florida and Texas. It's on the website. Yes, it is, Jennifer.
Hi. So where should I look it up at?
On the YouTube page. It's live on there, step by step.
Oh, okay. The one that y'all did like 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, I think we did Florida. So we did Florida and Texas. So I can go over Texas with you again one-on-one because I have another person that wanted to do one-on-one. So possibly this weekend if you're available.
Okay, yeah, that'll be good. That sounds great. I have therapy tomorrow at 11, and then after that I'm free.
Okay. Let me know. That's perfect because then I get to kind of sleep in. So, yeah, let me know. Thank you. Hey, Jennifer.
You're welcome. Hey, Sandy. Hi, everyone. Hi, Mr. Kramer.
Hello.
Now, go ahead, Scott. Now, look, I'm going to make some fun. Well, I won't make fun. I won't do that. Let's go ahead. I want always going to make us laugh.
Rosario's right. It's a brain-to-computer interface.
Okay.
They can play my brain like a stereo. Their voices are disguised. In my case, I have humans that are speaking through a computer system that can disguise the voice, that can soften the voice, it can make it sound like a celebrity, it can make it sound like any voice that I've ever heard before, my family, my friends, anything. I realized at a certain point that they had total control over all of my senses, and I had to start to abandon my senses and follow my heart and my third eye in order to stay away from the harassment and stay away from being manipulated by the technology. So it's very difficult to put up with, and I feel for her, and I know what she's going through. She's absolutely miserable. So
it really is. But I feel good about the fact that something is happening already. And when everything started for me, when there were no groups of stalkers, there was no technology applied to the victims. In 1987, it started 1988, 89. I stayed 3 more years in Los Angeles. It was a single perpetrator, and then she started manipulating people. I could see that happening. And she traveled with me everywhere I've been moving in the States. So we are talking about a sociopath, the work of a sociopath. And, but the thing is, I've been, I'm glad I came back because I wanted to know if anybody knows about Sheila Epstein or Ramona Lopez. Ramona Lopez used to live in Texas, and she was a TI. That she suffered so much. She sent me her medical record about 10 years ago, for me to save it, because she didn't know where to save those medical records that, were incriminating about what they were doing to her. And I never heard from her. And I found her file a few months ago. And I said, oh, this is Ramona Lopez Ayala, medical records. And then I said, I'm going to call back. I'm going to find a way to talk to somebody that maybe remember her from 10 years ago. And I have her document before I share them, because if they are, I don't know what to do with it now. And this was years ago. I really want to know if she's okay, if she still needs them. If she doesn't need them, I'll break them, And Sheila Epstein from Florida, she also was hit so hard. Yeah. And she was a senior, in her 70s. I don't know. It's been already 8 years, and I don't know if she's still alive. So.
Well, Rosaria, we can talk. We can talk about that. You and I, we can kind of reach out because I'm in San Antonio as well, so I can reach out to Targeted Justice to see if there's any connection with that. So we can talk about that later today. Today,
sure.
We are going the California Victims Compensation Form. It's an application.
Yeah.
We just did, like I told you, we did Florida already. So if you wanted me to help you with that, we can do it one on one.
Claudia, you said you have a recording, the recordings and the YouTube, right? It says I Shall Bloom.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Is that you?
Yes, I Shall Bloom YouTube.
I'll look for it. Yeah. Okay. I'll look for it.
All right, so today.
Wait.
Yes, but today we're doing the California, so we have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
we have people, wait. Huh?
Yeah, I just want to say goodbye and thank you so much for the info. Thank you, Mr. I'm sorry, it's his name, Mr.
Cranmer.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you so much for that information. Scott, I really appreciate.
You're welcome to stay on the call too, but today is for the California compensation application, and we're on a time, and we want to make sure that everyone gets the information. But I look forward to speaking with you in a couple of hours. Is that okay?
Sure. Right now, I'm on the street. I'm going to the store, and I can't continue in the call, but we can call in another couple hours.
Okay. All right. Well, I will talk to you.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Scott and Sandy, this is Ronnie. I have a question.
Hi, Ronnie.
How are y'all doing?
Good.
On the cover letter, it talks about Havana syndrome. Should we change that to anonymous? What did they call it? Anonymous
health incident.
Yes. Or do we want to leave it Havana syndrome?
We want to leave it as Havana syndrome. We're saving the anomalous health incidents for the letter from your doctor.
Okay.
So it corresponds to what the FBI and the CIA are referring to as Havana syndrome. But they're basically, the same thing. But we're trying to get a code for Havana syndrome with the state compensation board so they start paying out. So I would keep it simple. Keep it to Havana syndrome and being human trafficked for experimentation with neuroweapons, exposure to directed energy weapons, and leave it at that. Leave everything else out.
Okay. And do you mind if we leave your name at the bottom of it? Or do you want us to change your name to our name at the bottom of the letter?
Change to your name because it'll be a cover letter for you explaining what's going on with you.
You want me to scroll down? I have the letter up too. So remember we're making that letter personal.
The application gives you very much space to explain why you're applying for victim compensation. So, so we're attaching the cover letter that explains that basically the police department have referred us to the federal government. The federal government is now referring us to the state, even though they are helping federal employees and diplomats. We're being assaulted, there's nowhere to turn, and we're experiencing a traumatic brain injury as a result of the attacks with directed energy weapons. And every time the VQK says something to you, that's a traumatic brain injury. It takes time to not process it or process it, recover from it. So we're all suffering from traumatic brain injury, and we should, look for ways of rehabilitating from traumatic brain injury as part of the healing process in our rehabilitative process.
So, and you're going to change. Make sure you pay attention. To the victim, where it says he's been trafficked for 23 years. That's how many years he has. But whatever your years, just make sure that you may make this personal to your situation, because this is his. His. I had to make sure of that too when I did mine. So I had to put my own name at the bottom. You know what I mean? So yes, it's your personal letter that you're gonna have. I guess
customized.
Yes, customized. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Sandy, for that, because that's what I was going to ask. Was that first paragraph is where we change it, and then we don't attach anything else to the application but this cover letter. We don't. It's when they respond back to us, we respond with all the evidence and stuff that they requested, right?
Exactly. They're going to send you an acknowledgement letter, and then they'll send you a letter for each item that they're requesting. What they requested from me was a copy of a police report indicating that I have complained and documented the fact that I'm being hit with directed energy weapons, and a letter from my doctor. They didn't ask for a letter from a neurologist, which would be the only one that could actually diagnose Havana syndrome. So my doctor was willing to write a letter along the lines that I've been experiencing anomalous health incidents. That's such a general term. It's just, unexplainable health incidents. He was willing to write the letter and didn't have any issues with it. The anomalous health incidents is the term that the FBI and the government are using to sort of sway the public away from Havana syndrome, because they don't want people talking about directed energy weapons. It's technology they don't want to release to the public just yet. So they've coined the term anomalous health incidents. We're using it against them, and we're having our doctors write letters saying that we're experiencing anomalous health incidents, and then submitting that to the Victim Compensation Board as our letter from our doctor. If you can get into a neurologist and get a letter from a neurologist that says that you have traumatic brain injury, that would be even better than having a letter from your general doctor. However, they're not asking for a letter from your neurologist. They're just asking for a letter from your doctor, and the only thing that your doctor can put on that letter is anomalous health incidents. He can't diagnose traumatic brain injury.
I have a copy up on the screen that talks about when they sent you the letter saying that they received and they're reviewing. The compensation board says that we have received and we're reviewing your application and found that we do not have everything we need. So I guess that's what you're just talking about, yes. And then that's when they request the documents they need, huh?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So are we ready to any questions? Are we ready? I have the copy of the cover letter was up. Any questions before we proceed to the application?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
This is Jennifer. So it started for me in California, then it continued to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I am back in Florida. I was here last year, and now I'm back this year. So would I be submitting the application to all three of those states, in all the states that I've been to, trying to flee all of that?
No, they're only going to go back 2 years, so you want to be in the state you've been in the last 2 years. File in the state you're currently in, which would be Florida, and leave it at that. There's something in the application that says in order to qualify for the State Victim Compensation Fund, you have to be residing in the state. So you wouldn't be able, you're not residing in Texas or California, so you wouldn't be able to apply because you're not residing in the state. So you would want to use the YouTube instructional video that Aisha Bloom has on Florida that we did last week, and it'll go through the application.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. We'll go through California. They're roughly the same. Florida was a little bit more complicated than the other states. But if you have any questions, contact Sandy, or Sandy can contact me, and we'd be happy to, try and help you out with any questions that you have.
And it's okay, Scott, if they call you too, right? I know you're kind of,
Yeah, I'm going to give out my information. That's fine. They
okay.
Call for if they have any questions filling out the applications or with the process.
Thanks so much. I do have your phone number saved on my phone, Scott.
Okay, good. Yeah, just shoot me a text first so I know that it's you and I know to pick up and it's not a creditor.
Okay.
All right. So I'll start with unless anybody has any other questions, I'll start with the application. We can go through it, and then we'll do a follow-up with some questions after that.
Yeah. Okay. I have the application. I have section 1 up, the claimant information.
Perfect. Okay. In order to find the application, what you would do is you'd go into Google and you would put the state that you're looking for, and then Crime Victim Compensation Fund application, and it will come up. All 50 states have one. So if you're, listening from a different state, that's how you'd get through it. You may even want to bring it up, the other state's application, as we go through the California one. They're somewhat similar. You can almost follow along, I believe. Section 1 is the claimant information, which is us. And it asks for your preferred spoken and written language at the top right. First, middle, and last name, gender, relationship to victim. Hold on one second. I'm confused.
Sure. Do I have the right one up?
Yeah, you have the right one up. We're the claimant. Relationship to victim doesn't apply. We are the victim. So keep that blank. Social Security number, date of birth, your mailing address. It says from the date of crime to now, has the claimant been in prison, on probation, on parole, or post-release community supervision because of a felony? Most of us have cleaned up our acts and don't have any issues, so we put no. Is the claimant required to register as a sex offender? We would put no. Most of us have cleaned up our acts and don't have that issue. Then it asks for the mailing address, best contact number, and an email for you. Below that, at the end of section 1, it says check this box if you're applying for a parent or guardian, applying on behalf of a minor witness to violent crime. That doesn't apply to us. We're not going to check that box. And then it says if you're an adult victim and the expenses are for you, skip to section 4. So we're not applying on behalf for somebody, so we're going to skip section 2 and skip section 3, and we're going to go into
Scott?
Yes.
Pardon me. It does say under section 2, crime victim, the crime victim is the person who is injured. So if that's ourselves, why wouldn't that apply?
Because it says if you were an adult victim and the expenses for you, skip to section 4. If you were it should say at the bottom of that section, if you're completing this application on behalf of a minor or incapacitated adult, continue to section 3. If not, skip to section 4. So that asks for if you're applying for somebody. If you're an adult victim, you would fill out section 1, and the expenses are for you. You would skip to section 4. So you'd leave section 2 and section 3 blank. And I know it's confusing because it says the crime victim is the person who was injured, threatened with injury, or killed due to the crime. But at the beginning of Section 1, it said Section 1 must be completed for all applicants. The claimant is the person who has expenses or is seeking assistance as a result of the crime. So you are the claimant, not the crime victim. And if you're filling this application on behalf of someone else, put his or her information in Section 1 and your information in Section 3. So we're the claimant and not the crime victim.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Section 4.
Section 4, for the victim of the crime, the following benefits may be available. Please check the crime-related expenses you are requesting. Please attach copies or a list of any crime-related bills. Medical and dental expenses, moving or relocation expenses, job retraining for a victim disabled because of the crime, mental health treatment, home security improvements, crime scene cleanup, income loss if you missed work because of the crime, home or vehicle modifications for a victim disabled because of the crime, and mileage reimbursement or transportation costs. I could, in essence, mark all of those boxes with the exception of crime scene pickup, cleanup. I could use help. It's been 23 years, so I could, I've changed my locks in my house. As far as my security is concerned, I've been through the mental health ringer, had both medical and dental expenses. I was forced to move and relocate. Currently working part-time, but as soon as this stops, I'm hoping it lifts this gray cloud over me and I'm able to work full-time and get back to a normal life. So I would apply for job retraining assistance. Income loss because I, was not able to find work and get out of the house and get to work on a regular basis for long enough to keep jobs. So I have income loss, home or vehicle modifications. I was disabled because of the crime. I received disability. So, and my car was totaled by an illegal, and I was rear-ended and ended up losing in court for some reason in California. So I would, be applying for a car as well as mileage reimbursement or transportation costs, getting back and forth to doctors, and the lack of a car, using Uber and whatnot. So you can apply for anything that you can prove that you have expenses for. And then there's a box that says other crime-related expenses. If you have something that's not listed there, you would want to put that there as well. Try and keep your expenses to stuff you have, stuff that you can prove with as far as receipts are concerned, just to keep everything straight. But I would apply for as much as is possible that you qualify for. The next section is for someone other than the victim of the crime. The benefits may apply. This is in regards to whether or not you are applying for somebody else. So you would not need to fill out that section. There is an emergency award request. It says emergency awards may be requested in certain situations. An emergency award is intended to pay for crime-related expenses in cases where you suffer serious financial hardship if crime-related expenses are not immediately paid. Substantial hardship means you would not have any money left for necessities like food or rent after you paid for crime-related bills. Qualifying emergency awards are generally paid within 30 calendar days of receipt of the application. So I would put, if you're in a financial bind and paying off all of your various expenses is going to keep you short on your rent and your food, check the box for emergency, or you're requesting an emergency award. I don't think it hurt. The worst they can say is that they say no.
Okay.
Section 5. Section 5 refers to a law enforcement agency. It says if reported to a law enforcement agency, name the law enforcement agency. I put FBI because I called the FBI and complained. The dates a crime occurred, I put starting in 2001 and to the current date, and said it was ongoing. The date the crime was reported, I don't remember the exact date. I called the FBI, but they did not. They basically didn't help me and did not file a crime report number. You would describe your injuries, and in describing your injuries, you can describe the things that you've seen the doctor for, that you have some sort of documentation for. If you have injuries, if you're getting tortured all over your body, you can, basically say it's a brain-to-computer interface causing pain throughout the body. So that's what you would describe as far as injuries are concerned. Location of crime, if known. It happens in your house, so I would say, in your house. And in your cover letter, you can mention that it follows you wherever you go, even when you leave your house. Person who committed the crime, if known, I'm marking suspect unknown. There was a concerted effort to make me think it was my neighbors for years, and my concern is if you put down that it's your neighbors, they're going to deny you the compensation. They're going to make you work it out with the police. They're going to make the police file charges and then have you apply for crime victim compensation. I never had any definitive proof that it was my neighbors. I was just hearing their voices. So I recommend putting suspect unknown.
Okay.
That's the same thing that you'll put on the police report when you go into file the police report. You'll say you're being assaulted with directed energy weapons, and you don't know who the perpetrator is. You don't know where it's coming from. Don't want to confuse the matter. Don't want to get, say it's your neighbor and then have the police go to your neighbor and your neighbor say you're crazy and then the police put you on a 5150. You don't want to get confused the matter. We're trying to keep it simple to Havana syndrome, directed energy weapon abuse, and being human trafficked for experimentation with neural weapons. Let's see, representative information. Let's see, let's see, representative information. This would be for, let's say you had an in with Targeted Justice or PACS or a nonprofit organization. If you know somebody that works for the organization, this is an area where you would put their information. In my instance, I'm on the board of PACS, so I know Derek. I didn't ask him to be my representative, so I didn't put his information on my application, but I have the ability to put my name, put his name down, his phone number, his organization, which would be PACS, or if you know somebody with Targeted Justice, the mailing address, and there's a place for a telephone number as well. It says the representative information. A representative is not required to apply for compensation, but it may help with the application because they can contact that person if they have any questions. It says this section is for representative only. Victim witness assistance center advocates need only provide phone name, center number, sign, and date. All other representatives fill out this section completely. I would get the permission of the organization and the specific person that they want contacted by the Crime Victim Compensation Fund should they have any questions or want any further information. And then let's see here. It says there's an area for representative signature.
Pardon me, Scott.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank
you.
Go ahead. Is there a victim witness assistance center that we can call for advocate help?
It says there is, so I would Google the State and Victim Witness Assistance Center advocates. It might be the Victim Compensation Center that just has that helps you fill out the application. But I haven't done the research, and I don't know if there's a Victim Assistance Center advocate organization that's there to help. So I would definitely look into it.
Thank you.
And I want to interject as well, too. Be aware of, when we call important numbers,
Hello?
We lost you for a second, Sandra. You guys can hear me, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I think her mic went out earlier, so she's going to have to probably hang up and call right back. So while we're waiting for her to do that, I'll just finish up the section 6. The representative information, it asks for the representative signature, which means that you would have to send your application to whatever representative you wanted to represent you. So if it was Targeted Justice, you were able to find somebody at Targeted Justice, you'd have to send the application to them so they could sign and then send it back to you before you submit it to the state. So that was the reason why I didn't have Derek be my representative, is because I didn't want to go to the hassle of sending him the application and getting his signature and having it, sent back to me. So, but if you have an in with somebody at Targeted Justice or PACS that can be a representative, then I would, definitely recommend putting them as a representative. They can reinforce your complaint and let them know that they're an organization that's nonprofit that's set up for victims of this, because the government's not helping out in any way whatsoever. Sandra, are you back? Well, it looks like she's still struggling with the volume. As long as you guys can hear me, I'm going to keep going through. We're pretty much almost through it. So how did you find out about
Scott, I'm sorry. Another question, please.
Sure.
Do you recommend getting someone to bolster our application from these organizations?
I think it would help a lot if you were able to indicate that if you were able to get Richard Lighthouse or Anna Toledo or Derek Robinson or one of these people that have nonprofit organizations to be your representative, I think that it would help, as long as they're credible. You don't want some of these newer organizations that don't have very much experience talking about a lot of conspiracies that is going to get you denied. But I think in this case that both Targeted Justice and PACS would serve you well as a representative. So if you can, I would. I didn't in my personal case because I thought it would be too much to ask. Derek was too busy, and I didn't want to send the paperwork to him, get his signature, and have him send it back. I just wanted to apply quickly. So I would definitely give it a shot and see if you can find a representative for you that has a nonprofit 501c organization.
And PACS, how do you spell that, please?
It's P as in Paul, A as in Apple, C as in Charlie, T as in Tom, S as in Sam, International. And the website is pacsntl.org.
Thank you.
Sure. Derek's a nice guy. So the section 7 says, how did you find out about the board? There's a box here that says Victim Witness Assistance Center, and that would indicate that there is a Victim Witness Assistance Center that the woman had asked for earlier. So I would Google the Victim Witness Assistance Center and seek, their opinion. Let them know that you're applying for compensation through the State Victim Compensation Fund, and if they have any advice for you. You can put, you can either check that box or media, TV, radio, newspaper, or other. You were referred by organization that helps victims of Havana syndrome. The Section 8 is voluntary. It asks for ethnicity. It asks if the victim is disabled, and it asks if the victim was disabled prior to the crime. I filled it out. I put I was disabled, and I put that I was not disabled prior to the crime. Section 9 is fairly standard. It asks for your insurance information. They will check your insurance records to see what was paid out as far as medical attention is concerned. Some have Medi-Cal, some have Medicare, some have private insurance, but you would put the medical benefits identification number, the issue date, the company, the policy, the group, mailing address, your name as far as insured is concerned. Then it asks for your auto insurance. If you've got a car, you have got auto insurance, go ahead and fill that out with the company name, policy number, telephone number, mailing address, whatnot, name of insured. There's other insurance. Please check any additional insurance sources that could be applied to your application. I have Medi-Cal and Medicare. So I checked both of those boxes because I received disability. I do not have workers' compensation or other insurance. So I marked those two boxes as far as insurance is concerned. If you have more than one insurance provider, it says please list on a separate piece of paper and mail it in with your application. Section 10 talks about your employer information. If you're employed, it asks for employer, business name, contact person. It asks if it's okay to contact the employer, so you can put yes or no. The mailing address, city, state, and zip. The question below that is or was the victim self-employed? In my case, I do work on the side, so I'm self-employed. I don't have a 40-hour job, hour-a-week job. Did the victim miss work as a result of crime-related injuries? You would indicate yes. Did the crime occur while the victim was on the job or at the workplace? It didn't start there, but a lot of us get the harassment and get hit while we're at work. Just to keep everything clear, I would put, did the crime occur while the victim was on the job at the workplace? I would put no unless it started at the workplace. And it says if you have more than one employer, please list it on a separate piece of paper and mail it in with your application. Section 11 is civil suit information. This is basically saying that if you've got some sort of civil suit and they find that you're eligible for crime victim compensation, they're going to want to be reimbursed based off of the lawsuit proceeds that you get. If you have an attorney, you have a civil suit in progress, this is where you would put it. Where have you filed or do you plan to file a civil suit related to the crime? Right now I have no, because I'm stating that I don't know who the perpetrators are, thus I have nobody to sue. I think it's the military, but I can't prove it, and I can't sue the military. So there's no attorney that would take up that kind of case. So I'm leaving section 11 blank. It says if you decide to file a civil suit by law, you are required to notify CalVCB within 30 days of the filing of the action. So you're going to want to, if you do file a lawsuit next year when this does become public, you're going to want to notify the Crime Victim Compensation Board within 30 days that you filed the lawsuit. The next section, it says your application for crime victim compensation is almost complete. After entering all the available information, print the application. Attach copies of any documentation that supports your application for crime victim compensation, including copies of crime-related bills, insurance, or anything related to the crime. Save original documents for your records. Please read the next page carefully, sign and date, and send to the address indicated or deliver to your local Victim Wellness Assistance Center. CalVCB will send you a letter acknowledging that your application has been received. The acknowledgement letter will include additional information about the benefits requested on the application. A CalVCB representative may contact you for additional information if you're not able to provide it with your application. For any questions about victim compensation, you can contact your local Victim Witness Center or call CalVCP at 1-800-777-9229. So the Victim Witness Assistance Center is going to be a separate organization that's there to help us fill out the application and apply for this. Section 12 is information release. It says, I give permission to my health care provider, any medical bill, or any funeral director or similar persons, any employer, any police or government agency, including the Department of Justice, the Social Security Administration, the State Franchise Tax Board, and the Federal Internal Revenue Service, or any insurance company, or any other person, agency to provide information relating to this application, including medical, including but not limited to history of physical records, consultation reports, pathology reports, discharge summaries, operative reports, x-ray, and other radiological reports, laboratory reports, chart notes, narrative reports, and billing records, mental health, and felony conviction records to the California Victim Compensation Board or its representatives for the purpose of determining eligibility for CalVCB benefits. This permission also applies to all sources of recovery for the claimed losses, including but not limited to health and medical benefits, unemployment or disability benefits, Social Security benefits, Social Security disability, supplemental security income, and or retirement, including the supporting medical and or mental health records, and veteran benefits. I also give permission for the release of federal and state tax information, including tax returns for the purposes of verifying income. I hereby waive all legal privileges to any of this information required by CalVCB regarding my claim. So it basically wants you to sign off as far as information release so they can verify what you're putting on the application and determine what compensation that you're eligible for. The next sentence says, I agree that a photocopy or fax of the signed form is valid as original, and my signature gives permission for the release of all specified information. I agree that CalVCB or its representatives may pursue restitution from the convicted offender in this matter to recover monies paid to me by CalVCB, and that by filing this application, I have authorized use of information in this application and subsequent claim files to pursue restitution from the convicted offender. In order to verify or process this application, I agree that CalVCP or its representatives may provide information about this application and the information contained in this application to any representatives named on the application, government agency or healthcare provider or other provider of services. It may pay the provider directly if payment of these services is approved. I agree that I may revoke this authorization at any time. The revocation must be in writing. The revocation will take effect when CalVCB receives it, but I may be deemed ineligible for CalVC benefits once the revocation is reviewed by CalVCP. However, no healthcare provider may condition treatment, payment, enrollment, or eligibility for benefits on whether I sign this authorization. I'm entitled to a copy of this authorization except in limited circumstances. I agree that information disclosed under this authorization may be redisclosed by the recipient as required by law, and this redisclosure may no longer be protected by federal or state laws. I agree that the authorization and agreements herein will expire 10 years after the date of my signing this form. There's a place to sign and a date. Section 13 is my agreement to the California Victim Compensation Board. As required by California law, I will contact and repay the California Victim Compensation Board if or anyone on my behalf receives any payments from the offender, a civil lawsuit, an insurance policy, or any other government or private entity for losses suffered as a direct result of the crime that was the basis for receipt of benefits from CalVCP in the amount of the total benefits granted by CalVCB. I understand I may be responsible for repaying CalVCP any amount for which is later determined that I was not eligible. I will notify CalVCP if I hire an attorney to represent me in any action related to this crime or if I pursue any action on my own. So it basically says, since nobody's willing to reach out and help us, medically or financially, that when the time comes around, the State Victim Compensation Board is a board of last resort. And if they do agree to pay out victim compensation, they are basically saying that when the time comes around and this becomes public and we have perpetrators, we know who's responsible for this, and they go after it, any money that you receive as a result of this, you're going to have to pay back to California Victim Compensation Board, which I believe is fair. They're helping us out with when nobody else is willing to step up and step forward.
Mm-hmm.
In the event, it says, any monies I receive from CalVCP for moving relocation expenses, improving home security, or modifying a home or vehicle from a disabled victim will be used only for those purposes. If I am the victim of domestic violence, receiving moving relocation expenses, I will not tell the offender my home address nor allow the offender on the premises at any time or will seek a restraining order against the offender. In the event that I am compensated for any pecuniary, P-E-C-U-N-I-A-R-Y, I can't pronounce it for some reason this morning, pecuniary loss by CalVCP and the state of California subsequently receives compensation from the same loss on my behalf from the perpetrator, including any monies received through a restitution order or any other source, I hereby assign to the Victim Compensation Board any and all rights to such duplicate compensation. I declare under penalty or perjury under the laws of the state of California that all information I have provided is true, correct, and completed to the best of my knowledge and belief. I understand that I may be found ineligible for benefits and that action may be taken to recover benefits if I provide information that is false, intentionally incomplete, or misleading. There's a place for your signature and the date. And then Section 13A is for county social workers only. And I don't think that applies unless you have a county social worker. And then as far as privacy on the collection, CalVCB collects this information based on California Government Code Sections 13952 and 13954. All information collected from this site is subject to, but not limited to, the Information Practices Act. And there's a link to see that. This information is collected for purposes of determining eligibility for compensation. CalVCB may disclose your personal information to another requester only if required to do so by law or in good faith that such action is necessary to conform to the edicts of the law or comply with legal processes served on CalVCB or the site, protect and defend the rights of property of CalVCB, and act under exigent circumstances to protect the personal safety of users of CalVCB or the public. Individuals are to provide only the information requested. The information provided is mandatory. The consequences of not providing the requested information could result in the denial of your application. You have a right to access the records containing the personal information that you provided. The information collected is used by the California Victim Compensation Board. Any questions regarding the information collected, please write to the following address in Sacramento, or email info@victims.ca.gov, or call an 800 number, or contact the CalVCB Privacy Coordinator at infosecurityandprivacy@victims.ca.gov. For additional information regarding privacy, please see CalVCB's privacy notice. And for information regarding consumer information on security, please visit, and there's a link to a website there. So that pretty much wraps up the application for California. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I do. If we're submitting the paper form, do you recommend we get it notarized?
There's no place for notary. It's not asking for it, and it's not necessary, so I wouldn't do it. I would just make sure you sign in both those two sections at the bottom. Information release, Section 12 and Section 13, information release in my agreement to the California Victim Compensation Board.
Great. And Sandra was going to give us a really great suggestion. I'm not recalling what it was, but I'm a little concerned that she's now back on the line. I hope she's okay.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
You're back.
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, they had cut, what I go through. They cut it off, and so I can't even remember what I was talking about. What I wanted to. Do you remember? I don't know. Being attacked right now. I wanted to say something that was.
It had something to do with tax, or no? When did she come off? Yeah, tax or I don't remember. Oh well.
What was it called?
For disability.
Well, there's a section representative information. Section 6 is the section for representative information, and this is an area where you would put somebody in either somebody who has a 501c nonprofit organization set up for victims, like Targeted Justice or PAX International. You'd have to get their permission first. But you want to talk to them and have them represent you, be a representative on your behalf. It's not required to apply for compensation, but it may help. The only problem with it is it requires a signature, and I believe you would have to send the application to either Richard Lighthouse or Derek Robinson in order to fill it out. I don't know if they work off a Xerox signature. I'd be safe and get an original signature. It would take a little bit more time. If you have an in, I'm on the board of directors of PAX, and I didn't ask Derek to be my representative. I feel I can better explain it myself and don't want anybody getting in the middle of my receiving any compensation. So I didn't ask him, number one, because I feel I can explain it better and my experience better. And number two, I didn't want to send the application to him to get his signature. And I know he's a busy guy. I didn't want to bother him. So I left that blank. But if you have an in with Targeted Justice or PACs, or you know somebody who has a 501c organization, nonprofit set up for victims that is knowledgeable and sounds credible, you can utilize Section 6, the representative information, to reinforce your complaints about being human trafficked for experimentation with neuroweapons and directed energy weapons.
Yes, and you suggest it's not really necessary because you're your own. You know, I mean, it's either you know that it's going to go through point A through point B and back to you. You know what I mean? So you don't want to really add any other information if you don't have to, right? Scott did his on his own, and it's, you know.
Exactly. I mean, Derek deals with a lot of gang stalking. And I don't want them to call him and him start to go off about gang stalking, because that's not what I'm applying for. I'm applying for being human trafficked or experimentation with neuroweapons and directed energy weapon abuse, assaults. So I didn't want to risk it and put a representative in there. It's not because I don't trust anyone. I just felt more comfortable doing it, myself individually.
Do you think a psychiatrist could be a good representative?
Who?
A psychiatrist?
Let's see. If you've got, a psychiatrist that you've talked into believing that you have Havana syndrome, you may want to put it there. But to be sure, it says this is for representatives only. I would contact the Victim Witness Assistance Center advocates and ask them if it would be helpful if you put your psychiatrist information in there as far as your representative is concerned. I'm leaning towards no, because it asks for your medical information. So they're going to be able to contact your psychiatrist based off of the billing through your insurance. They're going to know who your psychiatrist is, how often you've seen them. They're going to have the ability to contact your psychiatrist. So if your psychiatrist is an advocate for you as far as Havana syndrome is concerned and you've convinced them, then I would definitely consider putting that information in Section 6 under representative information. But I would double check with the Victim Witness Assistance Center advocates to make sure that would be helpful on your application.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Well, we still have a little time. We can answer some more. Oh, the appeal process. I know you have talked about that briefly last week too.
We've had one gentleman who sent in old police reports and was denied compensation and given the opportunity to request an appeal. We wrote a short appeal letter that addressed everything that was in their letter of denial. And I'll go ahead and I'll read the appeal letter. Sandra has it, so she can distribute it, or you can contact me and I can get you a copy of it, but I believe she got it out to everyone. It says, Dear California Victim VCB, please see attached current police report indicating directed energy weapon attacks and involuntary experimentation with neuroweapons. We were unable to determine the source or perpetrators. Also, please see attached a letter from my doctor showing anomalous health incidents with both physical and psychological damage as a result of the exposure to directed energy. The exposure has left me with an ongoing traumatic brain injury, which is both physical and psychological in nature. I believe that falls into the category listed in Government Code Section 13955 F1 and 2. Those were the two government codes they cited saying that he wasn't eligible, saying that he hadn't sustained physical and psychological damage because he was only complaining about gang stalking in his police report. So I'll send it again to you, Sandra. I believe that falls into the category listed in so we stated that the directed energy has caused a traumatic brain injury, which is both physical and psychological in nature. So it qualifies under the Government Code Section 13955 1 and 2. And if they want to go further and request proof that we have a traumatic brain injury, it gives us a reason to go into a neurologist and get a MRI, MRS, and a PET scan, which will indicate the nerve the nerve damage that's been done to the brain as a result of the directed energy. But they haven't gone that far yet. The authorities I contacted first, the police, directed me to the federal government. Upon contacting the FBI, my congressman and senator, I was directed to the state for assistance. The federal government has excluded citizens from the Havana Act and the medical and financial assistance associated with the Havana Act as it only covers government employees and diplomats. I urge the VCB to reconsider the decision to deny assistance from the state as there is nowhere else to turn for assistance. Please contact me for any additional documentation or information that you may need to reconsider or make me eligible. Thank you. So that's the appeal letter. It's inevitable that we're all going to be eligible for this as soon as it becomes public knowledge, and next year in 2025. As soon as it becomes public knowledge, we're all going to be able to apply for victim compensation benefits. It will be an acknowledgement from the government. It will be acknowledgement that from the media that the technology exists and our complaints are real and we're all suffering and need help. So it's just a matter of time before the technology becomes available to the public and it is identified as a crime, what's happening to us, thus making us eligible for crime victim compensation.
Awesome. Any other questions? This is another great call, another one, so informative, and I'll make sure that I have it posted up today for recording.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Any other states? Anyone? You want to do Friday again? Another state? I know someone asked me North Carolina, because we did South Carolina.
Oh, we did South Carolina? Yeah, we can do North Carolina next week. Sure.
Okay. North Carolina. So next week, North Carolina. And hopefully I should have my phone something back. I filed mine.
Oh, great.
Yes.
I would like Michigan. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Hi, David.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm doing all right. Still going through it. I sent Amy a file. I'm hoping that she's gonna get back with me later on today, so because I know my attacker is Arbor Police Department. I'm ready to go take care of that. I got my MRI done, and I got a EEG scheduled for next week.
Oh. So we need to do your state. You're in Detroit? You're in Detroit.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So let's do Detroit and North Carolina.
You'd be Michigan, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I've already gone through Michigan, so we can go through it again next Friday with North Carolina. We'll go through both of them quickly.
Okay.
Okay. I would love that. Thank you very much. How do I get the application?
You're going to Google Michigan Crime Victim Compensation Fund application.
Yeah, Michigan Crime Victim Compensation
Fund application. And a form will come up. You'll have the option of filing it online or printing it out, filling it out, and mailing it in. I opted to print it out, fill it out, mail it in because I wanted to include the cover letter and receipts and whatnot. So I recommend filling it out and printing it out, filling it out, mailing it in with a cover letter so you can explain more about what's going on with you.
Okay.
And they will send you an acknowledgement letter, and then soon after that, they're going to send you a letter that requests additional information. If you have a police report that documents just directed energy weapon assaults, I would go ahead and use that. If not, use the letter that the Michigan State Victim Compensation Board sends you that requests a police report. Keep it simple. Just say, you're the victim of directed energy weapon assaults. You believe it's Havana syndrome, and you don't know who the perpetrators are. We don't want to confuse them and tell them that, well, we think it's this and this person, because we don't want them to direct you to the police department and say it's a police matter. You need to work it out. So
that's what happened to me. That happened to me already because I filed with the FBI. And then I actually received some good news but I was being attacked and I wasn't able to respond in time from the ACLU and the Attorney General's office, and they told me to report to be able to open an investigation on the Auburn Hills Police Department. But twice the Auburn Hills Police Department falsified charges against me, so that when I went to go file against them, they tried to arrest me. And then and I got them on record, like on my phone call. The officer told me, she's like, well, it wasn't us. We're guaranteeing you this. If you want to bring your car up, we'll sweep your car. And she just offered this information. I never said anything about implants or anything. I hadn't even thought about the implants until like maybe a month or two later. And she was like, yeah, we'll sweep your body for implants or any nefarious objects, and then you can file a police report. And what they really did was they filed federal terrorism charges against me for reporting what was happening to me to the FBI. And so when I finally went to go get my car swept by the Michigan State Police Department, they had already filed those charges, which was like a day or two later. And I even informed them that I was coming up there so I could file a police report, because you have to do it where it began at.
You filed a report with the FBI. Did they give you a case number?
I got a case. They got a whole investigation. The last I think it was, I won't say the last few times, but it was like maybe 2-3 months ago, because I keep them updated. And there was one of the agents said she said, do you want to know how far along in our investigation we are, what we're doing about it? And I said no, because I'm being B2K, and I don't want them to know about it because they're listening, and I don't want them to try to stay a step ahead of you.
Ah, okay. If you file the report with the FBI, then they're not going to ask for a police report if you can provide a case number from the FBI. So you wouldn't have to go to the police department. You can just use the FBI report and the case number from the FBI.
What about the reports from the ACLU and the DOJ? Because I filed reports with them also and got confirmation letters.
I would include that as an amendment to the. It says law enforcement agency name. You're going to put FBI, and then describe injuries. You would say, assaults with directed energy weapons. Please see attached. I would include the letter from the DOJ and the ACLU if it's helpful as far as proving your case that you're being assaulted with neuroweapons and directed energy weapons. Sounds like you can avoid the police department. You don't have to go deal with that hassle. The other letter they're going to send you is a letter that requests a letter from your doctor. You can't expect your doctor to diagnose you with Havana syndrome. He's not qualified. He's going to get in trouble with the medical licensing board. So
Okay.
what you want to do is we're going to utilize the word that the three-letter agencies, the FBI and the CIA, have used, which is AHI, anomalous health incidents. And with the letter that you get from the Michigan Crime Victim Compensation Board that asks for a letter from your doctor, you're going to email it to him or go in and see him and let him know that you're applying for victim compensation with the state of Michigan. Here's a letter from them stating that they need a letter from your doctor. Here's what I need from you. I've been seeing you for X amount of years and coming in with various ailments that don't make any sense medically. I need a letter of some sort that, describes our history, how long we've been seeing each other, and indicates that I'm suffering from anomalous health incidents. It's such a broad general term that your doctor shouldn't have an issue using it and won't get in trouble as far as his medical license with the medical board.
Well, see, I've been doing most of my life. I've been into holistic health, and not until now that I've been getting attacked have I been going through to the hospital, and I got the toxicology report done for metals, and I was just looking into asking AI what's the tissue damage that's done through these microwaves, and what can I look for according to that report, and so that can help me, because the doctors that I'm going through, a lot of these people that work there used to work for the military. So when I told them I was hit with direct energy weapons, they automatically knew what was going on. And so that's the same one that's prescribing my EEG and my MRI.
Oh, that's good. You're gathering as much evidence as possible, and they're going to have access to the information that you're getting. Do you have a general doctor?
Right now, I just now got that. Got her, Amy Jarrett. She's with the McLaren Hospital.
Okay.
And then Alex, I forgot his last name, but he's actually ex-Navy. So he's the one that did my X-rays, gave me my prescription for the MRI and my EEG.
That's the person that you would want to ask for the letter for that you're experiencing anomalous health incidents. It sounds like he knows what's going on with you. He sounds like he's giving you the right test to determine the damage that's been done. And he's not going to get in trouble by writing you a letter saying that you're experiencing anomalous health incidents. That's why he's ordered all of those tests for you.
Okay.
That's a step above most of us, huh?
Yeah, you're way ahead, David.
Yeah.
I'm working on it, man. I'm trying to be the stepping stone for everybody in Michigan that's going through this. A lot of people didn't have a doctor to go through, and I just gave a couple of people the information about what's going on over here in Mount Clemens and the people that work there, because, like I said, they're ex-military, so they are familiar with it, and they were letting me know that it's pretty nasty stuff, and I used to run certain tech. They couldn't go into detail, but they were like, we used to use it on other people, so we know what it's capable of doing.
Oh, good. Yeah, you're in the right department. Keep going. Keep pursuing that. I wish I had something like that in California.
Yeah, I'm doing it. They're trying to hypnotize me constantly.
Yeah.
To get stuff, kill myself, and then that's why I realized that because I just was going through my files, it's my evidence of them actually hypnotizing people that's around me, and they didn't even know it, and I didn't realize that I had caught this on my camera. So they're inadvertently affecting everybody, and I have some more experiences that I had experienced lately, just trying to get myself together and get the evidence gathered together to prove my point, my case. And it's scary stuff, man. That they're trying to hypnotize me, but they can't. But they're doing stuff to other people that's around me. Like they'll say, "Hey, you're getting dizzy." I'm like, I'm listening to it. I'm like, I know I'm not. And then the next thing I know, people around me are like, "Hey, all of a sudden I'm dizzy. I don't know why." And that's dangerous. That's really dangerous.
Yeah, that is dangerous, and I don't know to what extent that they're listening to the entire public. I don't know what the fusion centers are used for. They're listening to everybody's thought process and recording it. Thus, they'd have the ability to manipulate pretty much anyone that's around you. But I have no proof it. Yeah, I have no proof of it, and I don't know it. I know that when I get hit with the V2K or I get hit with the directed energy, it only affects me. It usually doesn't affect the people that are around me. So I haven't experienced that. But I think the possibility exists, and it's entirely possible.
Oh, I got it in real time. Where they were like, hate yourself, hate yourself, hate yourself, and the next thing I know, my friends were like, everybody hates me, you don't like me no more, blah, 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 just out of the blue. Or like they'll say, kill yourself, don't get this information to the FBI, don't get it, kill yourself, and the next thing I know, my friends like, I just want to die. I mean, in real time, going into hypnosis right there on the camera, because I was like, I'm trying to record at different angles. I got external mics. I got internal mics hooked up to my computer. And then I also realized that when you do video recording, it retains a lot of information, and but it comes out into MP4 gigabytes. And then in real time, I was just reviewing one of the videos. I'm like, this is really good evidence because they're in hypnosis or fell into hypnosis, just bobbing their head back and forth. And next thing you know, they want to kill themselves. And kill yourself is playing in the background.
Coincidental.
Yeah. And that's when I called the FBI, and I told the FBI about it, and they was like, they're doing what? And I was like, yeah, they're trying to hypnotize me into killing myself, and it's actually working on other people around me, and I think that the direct energy wave, because of the microwave, it holds sound, so whether they're listening or not, there is affecting their subconscious and is making them think other than, their own selves. What's meant for me is actually working on them. And I started doing the research on it and found out that like 75% of the people in the population, I don't know how they got this information, in the United States, they're just typically easy to manipulate through just any type of suggestion. And I think it was another conference call that we was on. They were also speaking on that.
Yeah, they can hit you with realized thought, conscious thought, and they can hit you with subconscious thought. And the subconscious thought is extremely difficult to identify unless it's overly exaggerated and obvious. But they have that ability, and I'm struggling with it too.
Well, there is a way to block out some of it, and I'm working on a YouTube video because I learned how to lock into the frequencies. I can intercept them, and I've intercepted other people's attacks also. So I'm working on a video so I can show everybody how to do this, and hopefully it'll help them too, because it kind of like takes away from the V2, the voice to skull. But as far as like direct energy, I'm not sure if it actually hinders it. But because the way that I know I got implants in me, so it affects me a little bit different than some other people that might not have implants. But I learned that if you can lock into the frequency, you can actually change or manipulate the way that they communicate with you.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, thank you for your work, and keep spreading the word and making the videos, and letting people know what has helped you cope with the external harassment. Thanks, David.
Yeah, no problem.
And I will talk to you later too, David.
Thank you.
So are there any other questions? We are right on time. It is 2:08, and we're right on time for Scott. How can someone reach you?
You can.
You have a call. You have a call.
Yeah, I have a call every other Wednesday. It's the first and third Wednesday of the month. It's a support call and activism call. We work on networking people with each other in their areas so they have somebody to talk to and they don't exhaust their relationships with their family and friends. And we've opened it up to the whole country and internationally because we talk about a lot of good things that are really helpful. That's on free conference call. The idea is mind control information. And it's Monday, it's the first Wednesday and the third Wednesday of every month. Next month, we are going to meet again 3 times. There are 3 Wednesdays in October. So we're going to meet 3 times. You're more than welcome to join the call. There's also a Michigan group that has a call. I can do the research and try and find out where they are, and if you can give me a call. Let me give you my phone number in case you have any questions. You need to reach me, and my email address. Phone number is 310-339-0162. And I'll repeat, it's 310-339-0162. And my email is mindcontrolinformation@gmail.com. Again, it's mindcontrolinformation@gmail.com. And I have a YouTube channel as well, David, and I took some of the videos that I've posted since 2018 on YouTube. I started putting them on TikTok, and they banned me permanently for spreading misinformation. So I don't recommend. Yeah, I don't recommend using TikTok. I wrote them back. I said, you guys are idiots. I've had these videos on YouTube since 2018, and they haven't said anything. And I put 5 videos up. You take 2 down, and then 2 days later, you ban me permanently. So it didn't make very much sense. I'm not a big TikTok fan anymore, although it's very popular, and I accrued a lot of followers in a very short period of time. It seems that they want to hide this information, and either my information didn't correlate to the other information that they have on the internet, or I was right and they didn't want the information released to the public, so they banned the 2 videos and then they banned me permanently. So I'm going to keep posting on YouTube and try Instagram and stay away from TikTok.
I got a question for you. First,
Sure.
Your name again? What's your name?
Scott Cranmer.
Scott. How you spell your last name?
Yes, C-R-A, N for Nancy, M for Mary, E-R.
And I do believe that you spoke on another conference call and was explaining the process as far as like getting the toxicology report and then working your way up to the panoramic X-ray and to the nonlinear junction scans. And that you wanted after we got the toxicology report to send the results of that to your email?
No, that wasn't me. I don't know anything about toxicology or any of that. I was told that in order to detect the nerve damage in your brain, you want to use an MRI/MRS test. And it was either a PET scan or a SPECT scan. You want to take those 2 tests to assess the damage to the brain that the directed energy has done, and what in hopes of being diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury. Okay. Unfortunately, there aren't that many doctors. You may get lucky with your ex-military medical connections that will diagnose you with Havana syndrome, but right now it looks like the only thing they're diagnosing victims with is traumatic brain injury, which is enough to document the fact that you're being assaulted with directed energy. And when everything comes out public, which is inevitable, hopefully it's in 2025, you already have the test done to show the damage to the exposure to the directed energy.
Okay. And that's why I was asking about, I was going to ask AI because AI is really helpful too. And I was going to go over my own results of the toxicology report and ask AI, like, okay, according to this toxicology report, what kind of damage or can be related to direct energy weapons and microwave weapons? So microwaves do manipulate cellular structure.
That's a good idea. I would definitely try that and see if you can get something useful from the AI program.
Sorry, that way I can keep everybody up to date and that's sort of tell them what else to look.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Also,
Yeah, no
someone
problem.
wanted to know what time was your call on Wednesday.
The call I forgot to mention is it's 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it's on TI Events. It's I got an email from Tranquility. She says she's already put it on TI Events for October, for 3 Wednesdays in October. So you can look at the schedule and get the free conference call information and either dial in or use the app to join us.
Okay. Awesome. Well,
Yeah,
it looks
good
like
job.
we're right on time. Well, 1 more minute, 2:15. So again, I welcome you, Mr. Scott Cranmer. I've been saying Kramer. Cranmer. I welcome you again to the Friday show. I call it our show on Friday, the Scott and Sandy Friday show. And we are just blessing others and blessing each other with learning how to get any type of funding that we can right now until this program in 2025 is acknowledged and made exposed. So next week we will go from Detroit. We did Michigan again. I think we did Michigan together.
Did we do Michigan? I think I did
Michigan
I did Michigan for a Michigan call.
Oh, you did? Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
perfect.
we haven't done Michigan together, and we haven't done North Carolina, so we'll do both of those next week.
Okay. So I will have this recording up today, so they can go back, and if they wanted to go step by step again, I also put the application in the chat for those who haven't printed it out, and it's also on YouTube. So I guess, well, again, I thank you again for tuning in to another fantastic show with Scott Kramer. We reviewed the California Victims Application. Again, my name is Sandra, and I'm the host of the I Shall Bloom Show, and I can be reached at sandra@ishallbloom.com. And also, we have a new newsletter, so I would hope that you would subscribe to our newsletter. That's on ishallbloom.com website. So you'll be the first to know of anything that's happening on the show. And also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can contact me again at sandra@ishallbloom.com. And also, remember that we are blooming together. If I shall bloom, you shall bloom, and we shall bloom. Bye now.
Thanks for having me, Sandra.
Thank you. Talk to you later. Have a blessed day, y'all. All right. Talk to you later, David. I'll give you a call later.
Okay.
All right.